kill the music if it helps. Let's try this. Are we live? Are we live? Hey, everybody. Hopefully this is coming through okay. Are we live again? Crash, walked away for... Looks like it. Are we live? Ooh, almost hit the stop button. Yeah, this one, okay. Okay. I'm really sorry, guys. I don't know what is going on. I think my internet is dropping in my area. Looks like that's literally my service provider is having problems, which is frustrating because that means there's nothing I can do on my side. And I apologize ahead of time. I'm actually reaching out and letting people know. So I'm really sorry. Give me 1 second. Hey, it's fine now? Okay, great. All right. Well, hopefully we can stay stable. Not quite sure what really happened. Interwebs. It's just so frustrating. You know, it's frustrating to me because it's out of my control. It's like, come on. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and move forward as if we are going okay, and yeah, let's just do that. Okay, back. All right. So, sorry. Yeah, right when I want to show you guys all the stuff I do. I also I had nothing else running. I only have ZBrush running, and I only have the other thing too. But I just called my provider, and they were like, "Oh, internet's down." Yeah, that's nice. What was the last thing you guys remember? Um, what was the last thing you guys remember? So then I can go back and kind of cover that a little bit. Have I created an IMM snake or snake curve scale brushes? No, I haven't yet. I've created IMM brushes before, but nothing with a snake curve. I played around a little bit with the snake curve feature, which is cool, but pardon me. But I haven't actually created anything from scratch like that. That internet provider deserves criticism. It really does. Really does. Okay, so I also turned off the music so it's not soaking up bandwidth, so I do apologize, but we're going to be going a little music free today. I was keying the head. Okay, great. Okay. So let's kind of let's recap what I did. So I created a plane from scratch. I created a key with a plane from scratch that we'll be using for light boolean. Okay, great. Yeah. Left off on too close to the wall, not cut. Oh my gosh! Wow. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Okay. Okay. So we created this guy, and now we just placed it so that it's as close to the middle of the serpent as possible. And now what I was doing was we created a second key, which is right here, which I basically just took the plane because it has different polygroups and isolated those polygroups and deleted the plane itself so I can create a secondary key for underneath his belly. It's all really fuzzy. I just remember a blur of pixels streaking by. Okay. How did I get the scales for the serpent? Chris, what I done for these scales in particular was I had actually purchased a few brushes on ArtStation, and they're amazing brushes, and I definitely refer them. I just got a little lazy and didn't want to sculpt them by hand, so I used an alpha that I purchased, and it was pretty cool. I'll actually get you the information right now too if you guys want to use the brush. I highly recommend it. And said before in the last stream as well. If you guys like supporting artists, definitely check out ArtStation. They have a lot of cool ZBrush brushes. And I'll actually get you that right now. Okay. Kind of bummed it got cut. Sorry, guys. So if you like to see the brushes that I'm using, go check these out. I think you'll really, really like them. View this. I want to go to it. There we go. Check this guys out. You guys will like this one. Okay. So that's how I did it, Chris. Yeah. You can also do the same thing by grabbing an image, creating your own alphas and stuff like that, which if you guys would really like to see how that's done, I have a video on my YouTube channel. Take this link, go to my YouTube channel, and I'll show you exactly how to utilize brushes and stuff like that, creating alphas from scratch. But this guy had already did it, and I didn't want to reinvent the wheel, so I did it that way. All right. So now we have this. Let's take this cutter and let's actually start. Let's clip this a little bit more. So let's take this one, and I'm actually going to use the slice curve. Let's turn off polyframe for a second. And what we're going to be doing is cutting a nice little cutout for this serpent. So let's actually come here and let's slice cut this, which will give us a new poly group and cut right through the model. So we get something like this. We can now turn around and isolate this guy. Take that one out and delete hidden, close holes, which would be perfect. And now we can go ahead and see what is working with that key. You got $100 in tutorials? Heck yeah, Andrew Paul. That's awesome. I'm going to sculpt from scratch, but thanks also. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you guys, it's good practice to sculpt your own stuff for sure. But sometimes I like to go ahead and support other artists. Love the Vegeta gizmo in the corner. Thank you so much, Rodol. Thank you so much, yeah. That's actually from one of my, I sculpted a full version of him, a statue. Ooh, what just happened? Go back. Oh, lordy. That's not what I wanted to do. Let's actually grab this here. There we go. Okay. Let's do that again. Delete hidden, close holes. Perfect. Perfect. Time to go for me. Gotta sleep. It's 3 in the morning. Dude, thank you so much, Alex, for stopping in. I really appreciate that. All right. Let me know if we're still live. Sorry. I'm announcing too that I'm having some technical difficulties. Causing to not scrape well. Let's see here. Are the cutters for when you 3D print when I 3D print? Yes, the cutters are for when I 3D print, not the image though. Let me get into, while I'm still live, let me get into where these keys are. So we created some cutters and we're placing them right now in order to slice them for 3D printing. But they're not images, they're just planes right now, but we're gonna make them solid geometry here in a minute. Okay. Okay. Oh yeah, definitely will try to support. Okay, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, same here. It's still live? Okay. Yeah. Again, for anybody who's tuning in, sorry, I've been having some internet issues, but we are live. Okay, great. So let's move forward and hopefully we don't have any more hiccups. Okay. So right now I'm just placing these cutters. Let's look at everything as a whole. I think what I'm going to be doing is actually merging this subdragon to the actual base itself. It seems to drop every few minutes. Ugh. Okay. 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 At this point, guys, I'm pretty much fighting my internet. Um, Trying to get a hold of somebody to inform them of it, but unfortunately, it seems that yeah, it's not bad of a stream, just some buffering every so often. Okay. All right, we'll keep going then. Really, yeah. I just feel bad. I wish there was something more I can do, you know? Okay. All right, what I'm going to do is create a base folder. And let's merge this part together. I think that's what we're going to do. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep that all in one spot because I feel like that's going to be really, really good. And what we're going to do next is create the ship to cut against the base. This creature is fighting the cut. Yeah, I know, what the heck? Interesting. Can you please explain the difference between sculpting for video games and versus toys to us? Is there a difference in production? Thanks, Ian Robinson. At least will. Yes, there is. There's actually a huge difference. So, for toys, the biggest difference is that for toys, you're sculpting relatively high resolution. We don't have to necessarily retopo anything. What we do have to worry about is actually how the toy is going to be manufactured. If some aspects of the toy or statue will be manufactured versus prototyping, 3D printing, injection mold, cast and mold, or any other process, then what we need to be aware of is how that process works. So in this case, because we're dealing with 3D printing, we don't have to worry so much about overhangs. We don't have to worry so much about whatchamacallit, we don't have to worry about retopology because those things we can, you know, we can push those down. For games, however, everything needs to be low resolution with maps that bake and project the details on. So when you sculpt a high res for video games, what you're going to need to do then is manually retopologize it to get it down to a very low poly count that the engine, the game engine, can actually operate. From there, then you need to create all your texture maps, all your normal maps, and albedo, etc., and then that gets projected through the game engine. Here, everything is high res, so I can actually kind of brute force everything, make it one big solid high res file, and then we actually make it watertight so it's solid. Game meshes, typically they are not solid. Like I said, they're low polyed with details projected, so a big difference. Hopefully that explains it, Brigham. And last, are there tutorials? There are tutorials all over the place. Depending on what you want to learn from, you can always check out my stuff, my socials, which I have here, for anything that's statue printing, toy related. For video games, you know, Shane Olson, 3D Character Workshop, check out his stuff if you want to get more into games. let's see here. I have a question for these scales. Did you use the layer function inside ZBrush and painted the alpha brush? Yes, I did. I actually used the layer function and brought the scales in how I wanted to, cleaned it up, and then I baked the layers into the model afterwards. Hey, we got through 2020 now. We can get through this cut. Yay, I know, right? Yeah. So if you take that link, that'll actually get you. So if you want to follow some of my tutorials on YouTube or check out some of that stuff, you can definitely hit me up there. Yeah. Let's see. Hopefully I answered that question okay. Let's see. Oh, okay, we're caught up. All right. What we're going to do now is we're actually going to be, let's merge this here. We're just going to be cutting the ship against the actual model. So I'm going to show you guys how I do that. Do you cover the mold making process in your live streams? Typically not, no, but it's something that I could do in the future. I haven't covered it yet, no. Usually I just cover the sculpting aspect. Sculpted, not painted. Oh yeah, no, yeah, okay, so yes, I did use part of layer functions, not for the whole thing though. Usually I'll use layers to um, introduce color or introduce details I'm not 100% certain on. The other thing I'll do is use a morph target to ensure that I can always go back in time. Or you can even use the undo history recall brush to kind of paint back some things if you go too far. But layers is a great way to ensure that you're putting in details that you're not 100% certain, but you know you can always get rid of or dial down. So hopefully that answered it, gaming. If I sound a little frustrated, it's just because it's my internet. Sorry, guys. Okay, let's move forward. So I duplicated the ship because I'm actually going to be cutting the ship against the base so that we have a place to lock into. But before I do that, I kind of want to see how it's going to work. So again, this is for 3D printing in itself, so we can get away with a little bit more errors this time. Okay, in reverse, what if you sculpted a toy but wanted to convert it to usable mesh for a game engine? Sorry for the second reverse question. You never know where a design might end up, right? No, absolutely, yeah. So if you are going to be sculpting a toy, but then you want to convert it to a usable game engine, typically your toy. So your toy, okay, so it depends on the toy. Here, because we're doing a toy statue, it's already in motion. If you want to convert a toy into a game mesh, you need to start from a T pose or an A pose, and then you need to retopologize that pose so that way you have something to project to so that the animators, the riggers, that the people can work with the mesh correctly. In this case, I would actually have to redesign, repose him back asymmetrically. There's a lot of stuff I'd actually have to do in order to get it prepped for animation. I don't typically do that, but that's what would need to have to happen, right? That's what would have to happen. You'd have to basically take it all back to A pose, especially if you pose if you pose something and then added more detail later, like added new elements, you're gonna have to go back and resculpt all that, then get that topologized, and then bake all those maps over. So there's a different process and a different approach when working with games. But typically, if you have the idea that you might take a toy and reverse engineer it for games, what I recommend is before you pose, make sure that all your character details, everything is sculpted in your high res model, and you save that off as a different file so that you can always recall it. So then you can go through the retopology, then get it sent to rig, get it sent to animation, etc. All the things that need to get done after that. Yeah, it's a completely different pipeline. So there's a lot to remember there. So I would suggest making sure that you set yourself up for success and that you make sure that you save off a different tool that is not Pose but has all your details that you can work off of later. Hello, Alex Chan. I sorry, I don't yeah. Uh would love to see the slicing, printing, and painting too. Oh yeah, that would be really cool too. Well, follow me to my other streams if you haven't already, and I can cover more of that in depth. This is because we're in Pixelogic, we're only going to be covering ZBrush here today. But I will be continuing this on my other streams, especially if we don't make it tonight all the way through. Okay. All right. So we're going to be cutting the ship right now. Now we duplicated the ship, so I have this other model right here. And what I actually want to see now is how much room I'm going to have in the cutting process. So what we're going to do is in a folder added called the base, pardon me, I put the base part at the top, and everything that we're going to cut against is actually below it. And I'm actually going to hit the second option right here for cutting against. Let's turn on live boolean. And what we're looking at right now is how that model is going to be cutting against. And what we want to look for is wall thickness, and we want to make sure that everything is going to actually cut against it really nicely. So let's take a peek at it. And actually, I think this is not too bad. This is actually pretty good. There's going to be a little bit of fixing that needs to happen because we're cutting with that model, and that's going to cut some details, but not too bad. That's actually should work out pretty well. Now, here's what I definitely recommend doing. Because we set scale a while ago, we actually have some pretty good control of how much we want to cut. What I'm going to be doing with the ship is actually going to deformation, and I'm going to cut the ship against the waves without any keys. It's basically going to create its own custom key. So I'm going to hit the inflate, and I'm actually going to inflate this by 1.5. And that's going to inflate it a little bit. And now the reason for 1.5, if some of you are wondering, is because we set the cube to 1 inch. And each unit is a percentage. So inflate can actually go to 100%. So that would be 100% inflate. I did not mean to do that. Let's go back. So I find that about 1.5 to 2% is actually a good number to kind of work from. And what we can do is come on, baby, come on. Hello. Hopefully we are back. Hey, everybody. Hopefully this is... We're going to try this one more time. Hopefully this works. I really apologize to everybody who is bearing with me. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay. It's at least regulating a little bit, hopefully. All right, everybody. Let me know how this one is. If at this point, I may have to shut it down. I really do apologize. So let's go ahead and see if we can finish up the project. If not, we'll have to reconvene later. You guys don't mind letting me know how it is? Let's try this. Welcome in, guys. Welcome in. Okay. Hey, what's happening? Is it still really choppy, guys? Apparently, it's my internet down in my area, so hopefully we can get this going. And again, my condolences and thank you guys for hanging with me. Where are we at right now? Kind of looks like we're still jumping all over the place. Okay. Let's try this. Hopefully this will work. Okay. All right. So, let's see. This is where we are right now. Hey, what's up, Talden? How is it right now? We are having technical difficulties tonight, and I apologize to everybody who is bearing with me and hanging out. Unfortunately, I think the internet in my area is being serviced